Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Daz.
Office Bloke Aidan.
Right, Aid, we've been talking about the Saquon Barkley.
Saquon
Barkley.
Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
You got it.
I got there in the end. Names are not a thing for me, you know that. Right, Dave.
Yeah.
About the dispute he's been having with the Giants. And we remember when we touched on it about running backs, and I said there's something where they don't get paid.
Well, not as much.
They do get paid, they don't get paid as much for whatever reason.
Yeah.
This is going to explain, as urinating tree is going to explain to us why the NFL doesn't pay running backs.
I'm surprised about that because I did say it, so it's quite a big role in the team and it's like a position you get hit a lot.
I just thought it was a case of, I'm not sure, when you look at other sports, they negotiate their own prices, they negotiate their own contracts throughout. Now I guess running backs are probably different, you know.
Maybe.
Probably the amount of money that goes into it. We're going to find out anyway, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's see why the NFL doesn't pay running backs.
The running back. Long has the position been idolized on the football field. Sculpted demigods carrying the rock with a grace and dexterity that rivals Mikhail Baryshnikov. The blazing speed, the twitchiness that leaves defenders speechless, the power that sends opponents to next week. It was once considered the centerpiece to an offense not even 30 years ago. Bell cow running backs were a prized commodity. Why do you think Minnesota broke the bank for Herschel Walker back in the day? In the modern era, he'd probably be stuck on a franchise tag. With how they're treated, you'd think running backs were infected with plague. The great runners of our time are afterthoughts, cast aside at a moment's notice and irrelevant nearly overnight. Think of all the great seasons we've witnessed as of late. Saquon Barkley had a year where he bounced back to form but is stuck on the franchise tag. Josh Jacobs had a breakout season after being stripped of his fifth-year option, yet he's also stripped of a long-term deal. Tony Pollard has become the headliner of one of the most prestigious organizations in football. You can guess what's happened to him. Austin Eckler's undergoing a holdout like Melvin Gordon before him, and it's so far unsuccessful in raising his salary. Joe Mixon and Aaron Jones took pay cuts to stay on their teams. Dalvin Cook is one of the most underrated running backs in the league, in my opinion, and even he wasn't spared. He got cut after a supposed down year. It's an uncomfortable reality. Running backs aren't getting paid. They're the only position where the average salary has gone down in an age where the salary cap is a social construct.
I just want to see that. It's kind of bizarre, this, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just never even thought about that. A kicker gets paid more than a running back.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought the kicker would got paid.
But the kicker does quite a lot when you think about it.
Yeah.
The extra points, you know, they call field goals. Mine's gone blank. Field goals.
Conversions
and
field goals.
Rugby conversion, yeah. But yeah, it's look at the price of a kicker there. The average salary of a kicker, even more than like a tight end.
More than a wide receiver, or same as a wide receiver, pretty much.
Yeah. But the running back's dead low, innit?
Yeah.
When you look at it.
I'm quite surprised about that. Quarterback was leading the pack by quite a... It's expected though, that, isn't it?
It's funny, it started off, I've said it a few times, but it started off in the when it first come on with Walter Payton. I think he was one of the first pioneers to bring NFL to the UK.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it was here before Walter Payton sort of thing. We knew about it, but that was the breakout sort of like a period. And when it came back with Dan Marino, Walter Payton, William Perry, people like that.
They're now being paid less on average than kickers. Nearly every running back with a voice on social media has raised them an outrage over the fact. It's not that I don't feel their pain. No one wants to feel shafted at the negotiating table. But time has shown us over and over again that paying running backs the big bucks is a losing proposition. You don't need to be a capologist to understand that the game has become more pass-heavy. Especially in the past 10-15 years, it's become much more difficult for defenders to defend, be it by a combination of rule changes and the sheer godlike abilities of receivers.
That makes sense.
Basic efficiency model. Would you rather spend a play trying to gain 4 or 5 yards at best, or any number of passing plays that could get you 10 to 20? Offensive creativity is much more prevalent in the passing game, and the percentage of passing plays have gone up significantly over the past 20 years. In 2003, only 3 teams had over 60% of offensive snaps devoted to passing. Last year, there were 10, and the average has jumped from 55 to almost 57%. You cut out Chicago and Atlanta, that number goes up to 57.5%. Nobody's solely at fault for it, it's just the nature of the game and its evolution. I'll give you 4 words that emphasize this change. Running back by committee. The age of the bell cow running back is dead. In modern offenses, there are 2, potentially 3 running back systems to optimize the attack. Guys like Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs are traditional bell cows, but they're unicorns in the modern game. All you need to see is in how many runners have accrued over 300 carries in a season over time. 20 years ago, there were 9 300 carry backs and 28 with over 200. A decade ago, there were 5 and 23 respectively. How many 300 carry backs were there this past year? 3.
Wow.
And 22 at over 200. The mid-2010s were even worse, where the only 300 carry runner was either Ezekiel Elliott or Le'Veon Bell. A guy like Nick Chubb has Kareem Hunt to help out. Dalvin Cook had Alex Madison. Tony Pollard had Zeke. Alvin Kamara has Taysom Hill, and so on. Chicago and Atlanta ran the highest percentage of running plays, and they had 2 or 3 running back systems. It goes to show the cold reality of the NFL. Most running backs are easily replaceable. I'm going to mention some names from the recent past. Jordan Howard, Jay Ajayi, Lamar Miller, C.J. Anderson, Chris Carson, Phillip Lindsay, Marlon Mack, Carlos Hyde, and James Robinson. All of them had 1,000-yard rushing seasons since 2016. And all of them have either fallen off the face of the map or were forced to retire due to injuries. The line between a great runner and practice squad fodder is very thin. The supply of those eager to make a name for themselves in the NFL is vast and ever growing. The evidence has been very clear over time. You don't need a highly paid running back to win. Look at the leading rushers for teams that have won the Super Bowl over the past 15 or so years. Only one of them has made over $2 million in that time. And Beast Mode isn't even featured on this list. In fact, it's more than likely that paying big for a runner will end up backfiring horrifically. 4 names immediately come to mind. Le'Veon Bell, Ezekiel Elliott, Todd Gurley, and David Johnson. All were paid over $10 million a season. And all of them had contracts that were regrettable in less than 2 or 3 seasons. All of them were either cut or traded away. Look at ones that predated them in Arian Foster, Chris Johnson, DeMarco Murray, and Shady McCoy. It's left teams skittish overpaying for running backs. Right or wrong, it's no longer seen as financially efficient to do so. It's because the playing window for running backs is extremely short. On average, about 3 seasons or less. This has been known for decades thanks to how often they're carrying the football.
I'd just say that an average career for a running back is 3 seasons or less.
Yeah. Mad that, innit?
I did not know that.
You would have thought if that's the case, I mean, I don't know if that's due to injury or due to burnout or just drop in form or a dip in form.
3 seasons.
But he's right when he's
less.
saying about that list of names he's giving like that. Have just gone away.
Yeah.
Severe risks for injuries are well known, and they're the 4th most injured position in the league. It's part of the reason why running back by committee has become popularized and specialized. They're responsible for nearly everything. Running, receiving, blocking, play action, even flea flickers. The wear and tear on the position is extremely high, and the likes of AP and Frank Gore are incredibly rare. Most great runners either fall off a cliff in their late 20s or are forced to retire due to injuries. The risk in paying them is insatiably high. And why would you do so when they're mostly the benefactors of the offensive line? It's the worst kept secret in football. Success in the rushing game is mainly developed in the trenches, not with the ball carriers. The example that best shows this is Le'Veon Bell. His main strength as a runner was in his vision, being able to allow the linemen to create holes for him to burst through. Once he held out for guaranteed money, the Steelers weren't going to give it to him. They weren't fond of giving guaranteed money, and there were too many injury risks and character red flags. Signing with the Jets was the biggest mistake he made, moving from one of the best O-lines in football to a substandard unit. His production plummeted. Even worse, he lost money in the move if you count the guaranteed money from the season he held out. Le'Veon himself knows it now, and has apologized for the way he held out in 2018. And his story is just one of many. You can find great running backs anywhere these days. Isaiah Pacheco, Ramondre Stevenson, and Tyler Algier emerged as quality backs this past season, and none of them were drafted above the 4th round. The Denver Broncos in the early 2000s went through good rushers like candy. The Niners, Chiefs, Eagles, and more do the same because of the men up front. But I've been noticing one reason many aren't talking about: the rise of the dual-threat quarterback. Lamar Jackson brought about a revolution in game planning. You no longer needed a great running back to secure big yardage on the ground. The man under center can fly like the wind. It makes the offense even deadlier. Since Lamar burst onto the scene, everyone wants one of these players for themselves. Any QB drafted high must have dual-threat potential. Take Atlanta and Chicago, 2 of the highest rushing teams in the league. They had Justin Fields, Marcus Mariota, and Desmond Ridder become key rushers. Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia, especially in short yardage situations. Josh Allen is a main rusher in Buffalo. Hell, they run him out of fucking power. This past season, 5 QBs had over 100 rushing attempts, and 14 of them had over 50. Just like the bell cow, the age of the pocket passer is ending, and the key piece affected is the running back. They're taking your job, boys. It's only going to get worse once more and more players like this emerge as offensive dynamos. Now the dilemma goes to the running backs affected by the changing NFL. To be quite honest, it is bullshit. Being treated like a disposable razor blade sucks. The thing is, it's nothing personal, it's the nature of the business. Trends have shown that paying top dollar for a running back is far from efficient. There are too many risks that cause them to fall apart, and nearly all of them become dead cap hits in several years. Do you want something to blame for the lack of long-term security? Your friends in the NFLPA. They got spineless, accepted scraps from the owner's table and sold you out for 30 pieces of silver so they wouldn't have to be tested for weed. 2020 was the chance to get rid of the franchise tag and get better compensation. They failed you. It's basic supply and demand. The demand for running backs is insanely low, and the supply of quality ones is quite high. Like all ebbs and flows, athletes are the commodity being developed and purchased as a product. How does it change? I honestly don't know. The only thing I can think of is to make it tougher in the passing game, and the NFL would balk at it. It'll have to occur naturally, simply because of how the league is these days. I hate to say it, but you might have to swallow the bitter pill on this one. I expect to be hunted down by a committee of running backs for this in the near future.
That's proper.
He's explained that in exactly the way that now makes me understand it.
Yeah, it does make sense, but at the same time, it's still a bit like running backs. Like you can get like one of the best running backs in the game, and he can help you a lot. It would help your team out a lot, surely.
If you've got a good line.
Yeah.
But if you haven't got a good line, then that's what you're saying about the guy who went to the Jets.
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, he's gone from the Steelers who had a good line to the Jets who were shit. So now he's got, then he had problems. But it makes what he's saying there makes sense because like you say, the development of the quarterback that's coming through.
Yeah, that's
run with
very
the ball,
true. Yeah.
And you are seeing that more and more.
Yeah.
I mean, the only one I really remember doing major stuff was Michael Vick. He used to run with the ball quite a lot. But
you don't really need
sense.
two people there if you can have one person do both jobs.
And especially if you can get someone who can double up and play as receiver or running back as well, then that changes the whole game as well.
Yeah.
Especially when you're on a salary cap. You got to make your budget sort of like
count.
Interesting. I love that channel as well.
Yeah.
You're an 8 tree. Really good. Funny guy.
Well.
He talks sense, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He knows the sport inside out. But there you go. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know your thoughts on it as well.
Yeah.
They're not a running backs thing of the past now.
Maybe. Maybe that's how it is.
Yeah. We'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah.
Cheers.